next week. And that play requires me to look about 15 years younger than I actually am, which is no fucking mean feat, obviously. So as part of that, I'm going to have to dye my hair to get rid of all this grey and dye my beard. And then when it's dyed, and no sooner, I am to shave it down to like Daniel Day-Lewis like stubble. Now, I have informed the directors of the play that even with the dye and the Daniel Day-Lewis stubble, I will still in no way look like Daniel Day-Lewis, and will probably, as TT nicely points out, look about 70. So we're going to see how that goes, and I'm going to cut the hair and all that. So unfortunately for you guys, the play is next week, and by the time I come back to you next month, all the dye will have washed out, and at least I won't look like Moses, though. I'll look more like my usual, inclement self. Anyway, hello everybody. That's the preamble done. Lots of waves. Let's get into this chat here. Hello Jay, nice beard. Thanks, Deej. Comic Bows Queer. Hi. DJ, I actually made one of these because I don't have to be at work. Yay, lucky you. I do have to be at work. I have a large air conditioning, well, not air conditioning, it's just a fan that I've stuck two googly eyes on. And that is vaguely keeping me cool. Unfortunately, between the fan and me is this, not the cup of tea, although that is lovely, but that big black, that thing, that's my rig. And it does give off a bit of heat. So I think what I'm doing is having the fan blow the heat into me. So that's good, isn't it? Excellent. I'm not the right type of engineer. Am I in heaven? No, Lobster. I should be so lucky. I'm not in heaven, but I have managed to work out how to make the camera view at least a little less dingy. And so that's what I've done. What it also does, I don't know why, is makes these bags really big. Who knows why? Very hard to say. Right. Jay, are you in heaven? What's the play about? It's about witches. It's called The Crucible. It's very good. It's one of the great modern, well, it's not that modern now, great plays written by Arthur Miller as a response really to McCarthyism around him, and also obviously as a historical comment on the Salem witch trials. Very good play. Very, very good. Right. I do look like I'm in heaven. Thanks, Matt. How are you? Hope you're well. Jay in heaven. Yep. So I'm meant to look at 75. Yeah, we saw that. Jay looks like he's in heaven. My guess is it's about a notice board. What, the play? Yeah, it is. It's about a notice board. I'm the priest. Yes, I'm the priest. And I arrive, and then the lovers hide in the wardrobe and they leap out. Dikagi, hi. Roman, hey. Matt, Jay has his biggest fan with him. I see what you did there, Matt. Lobster Gorn, yeah, Karl Marx teach, yes. Karl Marx, yes. Right, Paladin's brother, Portable AC Den. Not everything with googly eyes, DJ, is in the Den family, strangely. Should be, probably, but they are. These glasses are new, right? For seeing the screen. I think they're wonky. Or maybe my camera's wonky. Who knows? Right, I don't like having my picture at the top of this. I don't like looking at me particularly. During the day, I can put me right down the bottom in a small little window and look at everybody else. Here, it's just me and this text window and some icons underneath it, which may or may not be real people. I wouldn't really know, would I? Oh, The Crucible, that's cool. I should have known you'd know The Crucible, TT. Yes. Yeah, and I think we're doing quite a good version of it, actually. Most of the cast are very strong indeed. Yeah, and it's open air, so it's quite nice. People come along, they bring a picnic and they eat, and then the show goes up and the sun goes down, so that by the end of the play, the sun's gone down and there's some lighting. Yeah, it's really very nice at Merist Wood. My girlfriend used to teach Crucible when she was a secondary school teacher. Absolutely. I think I might well have been taught it at school. Oh, I've got to reply to this. This is somebody who needs to live to rehearsal tonight. Because I'm rehearsing tonight, this is not going to be a long stream today. We're going to do half an hour, nice and tight. Get your questions ready. Any comments, questions, funny shit, insults, all of that. We've got to pack it all in in half an hour tonight because I have to go to rehearsal, and we are for the first time tonight running the whole play. So I really, really, anyway, this is someone that wants to lift. Just letting them know I can do it. Right, when I get back to this chat, and I do apologise for this being some of the worst televisual entertainment ever presented to an audience. Right, I've done that. I'm going to turn that off for a second now. Hopefully not get any more texts that have to be dealt with before rehearsal. Right, here we go. Still better than television here. Where's here, Lobster? Summer sale on off broadcast will end. I know, but there's no point in telling everyone here. They've all got it, and we haven't released anything since. So you know, right. Been a while since I last saw a stream. Well, Val, as you can see, at the moment they're slightly cautious, both in numbers of presenters. Although sometimes Den rarely, but sometimes he joins us later on. Andy has become quite busy. Al is working at 2 Point, so they're not around so much. But I'm still running my own games company, which is why it's easier for me to be here, and also why maybe there's an element to which there's enlightened self-interest here. You know, I want to release a game in a few years. It'd be nice if I knew some people who really liked my last game. That's you lot, and your friends, I hope. So, you know, let's move it. Also, I intend to move everybody across one day sneakily. And well, not sneakily, because I'm going to keep this open as well, but move across to a server where I can discuss my new game and can show things and can tell you about everything that's going on. Right. I will tell you some little bits and bobs. I have been playing with company names recently for my new company. We haven't got a name. We've been going a year and a half. We haven't needed a name. The reason we haven't needed a name is because we're not a legal entity yet, in terms of we don't have to do a deal with a publisher yet. We don't have to do a company's house thing yet. I'm just a sole trader making a game, in fact, making 2 games at the moment, which is interesting because we're running conjunctively. But that's more a small experiment, which I'll explain to you guys anyway. Yeah. I can't remember what I was talking about. God, it has been a long day. I've got to say, it's been a long weekend, right? We did a gig on Saturday night, and it was very warm, very, very warm for the band. So I got home from that pretty tired out, because you sweat a lot when you do a gig. I sweat a lot anyway, actually, when we play in the snow. I think it's because I put some effort in. Right. Yeah, so I got home very tired. Friends stayed here after the gig, so we were up till about 3. Up the next morning, off for Julius Caesar rehearsals, home to do some work on this second project, then off again to have a lunch, then home again, do some more work on the project, then off again for a rehearsal of the Crucible, which we cocked up, but mainly because it was about 100 degrees in the hall, and then home again to then start work 15 minutes after I got up this morning, which ended 5 minutes before here. So if I seem a little bit sort of abstractly ADHD, you know why. I'm a little overwrought. Right, here we go. Now then, I was an early NFB fan. I remember when Jay cosplayed as a bee. I don't remember when I cosplayed as a bee. How come you remember that and I don't? Oh, well. Here's the whole bee movie. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, I see. There's some chat gone off the tail. How's progress with your game, Jay? Yeah, be more entertaining, says TT. Got to be always entertaining, man. Do a dance or something. A dance would not be entertaining. I think the beard is entertaining. Masterpiece. I'm also wearing this. This is the first day of this T-shirt's outing. Front. Back. Now, the reason I show you this T-shirt is so that you'll understand that what I'm wearing here is a David Sylvian T-shirt. And I really, really want you to understand. And I know you're probably asking loads of questions about the game in the chat, but I'm just going to tell you about my T-shirt instead. This was bought for me by my presumptive best friend, a man who I know as the Loon. and have known since I was 13. So a very long time, back in the Tudor days, okay, when we used to hunt dinosaur together, yeah? Anyway, he loves David Sylvian. Loves him. One of his favourite musicians ever. I don't. I hate the guy. I think it's pretentious, drivelly wank. There was the odd good tune. I'll give him Gentlemen Take Polaroids back in the day. But mostly, and I feel I'm qualified to say this because I have seen David Sylvian live about 7 times, because every time he goes on tour, my best friend buys 2 tickets for the tour and we have to go. And his stated aim is to finally get me to the stage where later on in life, if someone says to me, who have you seen? What's the musician you've seen most out of everyone? The truthful answer will be David bloody Sylvian. And to be honest, he is very close. So that's good. And of course, as part of that, he buys me every one of David Sylvian's stupid artsy t-shirts. Hence why I'm dressed in a David Sylvian t-shirt. I'd hate you to think I was endorsing David Sylvian. I'd rather endorse the Pet Shop Boys. And that's saying something. Right. Okay. Back to the chat. I promise I will now answer some questions. And I'll stick entirely to your questions. Right. What do you... Oh, DJ, I missed this. What do you think of England's chances against Norway? In what, a fight? Right. It's a... joke that I don't know there's that football tournament on. I don't know, mate. I don't know anything about football. I don't care about football. What I do like about the World Cup is when there's a match on, the roads are really empty and it's really nice to go for a drive or to go to the shops. That's nice. And I know last night the pub behind my house was open till Christ knows when, because there was still loud music banging away at 2, which is not a complaint. I don't mind that at all. I knew there was a pub there. Right, okay. We've done this. Television variants, be more entertaining, do a dance. Yep, we did that. How's progress with your game, Jay? Very good, Roman. I will get to it in detail. Give us a little update. Yep, okay, I will do that. A new game, Nile. Must have missed that last week. Yeah, B costume. So I've just done this wrong. Don't make Jackie hear that, Jay. Jackie's lovely. Jackie won't mind. Is it going to be an FMV game? It is not. I'm all for Jay's new game, says Lobscore. No info, no teasers, no actual synopses, but I'm a true believer. It does exist. It does exist. It has been play tested by a few people, one of whom I think is in this stream at the moment, or may not be here. Oh, there you are. Yeah, so it does exist. It is a real game. It is a spiritual, as in it has the tone of the bits I wrote of Not for Broadcast, because I'm writing the script. So obviously it has edginess. It has Paul Baverstock in it. That's a good bit of hype, isn't it? So that's kind of exciting. And I have made a prototype of roughly the first third of the game, but I have not polished that. I'm currently at work doing art with a team of volunteers and interns and the sort of thing you can afford when you have not very much money, and we're going to polish the first 45 minutes, because that's about as much as a publisher is going to play. And we're going to do what are called action blocks, which are like little bits of gameplay, not really even a level, no narrative, no nothing, just little bits of gameplay, so that we know that all of the features that we want to implement for the next 2/3 have been tested and are fun, right? At that point, my plan is to go and start talking to publishers. That's the plan at the moment, anyway. I may change my mind at that point and go and kickstart it or something, but I don't think so. I think having a publisher is really useful. I think a publisher can be brilliant for marketing. They can be a brilliant partner, the same way that an editor can be an absolutely wonderful partner to, everything, to a writer. So yeah, I'm all for a publisher, the right publisher, obviously. So that's currently the plan. Don't know how long that'll take. Could be a year, could be more. there will along the way be a closed playtest or two, at which point it may be possible for those of you who live in countries with shared legal systems to be able to playtest in secret the game. I know Flux, he's not here. I can't see him anyway if he is in the chat. If you are here, Flux, hi. Flux has volunteered as somebody who's going to test for me. Now, obviously, I know Flux very well and I trust him absolutely. When we sourced for Not for Broadcast for a playtest, a player we didn't know very well who was based, I believe, in China, if I remember correctly, leaked stuff, a lot of stuff onto the internet, and I do not want to get burned again. So if I sound like I'm being cagey, that's why. So I want to make sure that, we don't get robbed, really. Right, so there's some information on the new game, and I will tell you some more things I've been doing on the new game and stuff as we go. I'm just going to catch up with some more chat. You are making 2. That's news. Yeah, I'll get to that. I will get to that. So Jay has left Notgames. No. Leave my lovely men behind. No. Notgames is really in dormancy. Notgames has a demo of another game that we hawked around, and that may get hawked around again when the state of the industry changes. But until such time as it does, each of us wanted to go and do other things. That does not negate us from coming back together. We all still own one share in Notgames, the 4 of us. We all still hang out together. We all still get on very well. And we all occasionally talk about how much fun it would be to do another game together. But I'm currently very happy running a new venture on the side. Well, not on the side, it's my full time, because Notgames isn't actively doing much except for this stream, and maintaining a few bits of insurance in case the game goes wrong, keeping servers live, those type of things. So Notgames, I suppose, as a producing house might be dormant, but no one's left in that sense. So there we go. I don't know either. No. But yeah, so Notgames is non-active. There you go. Yeah, Tiffany Thomas says, yeah, Notgames is not making games. Exactly. I remember when I asked if they would make another FMV game, I said, sure. That was a few years ago. And we did. Well, we didn't make the game. We made a prototype of another FMV game, but we couldn't get the backing for it. The thing is, if you want to increase the quality of the footage, which we did, you need more money. And FMV doesn't make a lot. And Not for Broadcast didn't make a lot. Oh yeah, I've just seen an image of me as a bee there. Thanks, Matt. Excellent. I do remember that now. Yeah, you don't make a lot from FMV. So and I think as well, Alex wanted to go off and do other things. So did I. I'm not sure. He was going to be the creative lead on the next game, which I think I would have maybe found difficult. I know he and I certainly are getting on a lot better since we don't have to get each other's sign off on things. The trouble with Notgames as a company, from a purely structural and financial point of view, because artistically, obviously, it was a wonderful place to be. Brilliant people, still friends with all of them. And George, the lead programmer for Not for Broadcast, is basically my partner on the game that I'm making at the moment anyway. So, all of that. And obviously, Andy, Den, and Al have all played the new game, given me input. And we've been able to do that for some of Andy's games. And Den has run bits and pieces he's been working on that I'm not going to tell you about past me as well. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. It's just we're not working as a unit anymore because it was very expensive. 4 expensive men. All of whom want to be in charge. Quite an expensive thing to do that. Right. We were intending to make more FMV though at the time when we answered that question. It wasn't a lie. It's just like things changed. Jay as a bee. Got to have a look at that. Oh yeah. No, I'm a pretty fucking good bee. Right. Several years ago, I think Roman had a photo of it. Okay, right. Yeah, I'm lost on that. Okay, how's other devs? I think I've just brought you up to speed on them. But if I haven't, let me tell you, Alex is thriving working with 2 Point, which he really enjoys. Andy is becoming ever more powerful at Forklift, where he currently, if I remember correctly, has 10 games in his roster. Genuinely have no idea how he's managing to juggle that. One is hard. Two, as I've discovered recently, is not easy either. I think these are really out of balance. Anyway. Two is not at all easy. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm going back to one next week. I just wanted to push on with number two for reasons I do want to talk about, but I'm aware of time. Can I turn down the heat too? I'll give it a go. Feel free to skip this question if you don't remember or don't want to talk about it. Bits of your life is dedicated to Richard Banks, actors. Do you have any stories or specific memories about his time on set? Not specific. What can I tell you about him? I can tell you he was an incredibly gentle human being. Like very warm, very accepting. Bits of Your Life was full of really lovely people. Like that, we got very lucky with that cast, especially as we had them all in every day for like 10 days, which is quite a lot to see everybody every day for, maybe even 3 weeks, as it might have been 15 days. It's a few years ago now. And we never had rows, but a lot of them were quite spiky. Like Eamon was a really spiky, and I don't mean spiky in you could get hurt way. I just mean he was really zippy, you know, his wit would crackle along. Whereas Richard was just such a gentle, lovely man. And when the guy came in who played the younger version of him, and we had him in the costume, that was also, it's just something rather lovely. Richard said to me on the last day that he'd been going through quite a lot of depression, and that doing the job with us had helped him to make contact with the bit of him that liked to laugh again, and the bit of him that, you know, believed in other people. So I like to think that we made part of his last years happier, better, richer. That would be a nice thing to have done. I certainly know he had a good time. He bought everybody. What did he buy us all? They were like, I think they were back scratchers. Like long, extended, really cheap, Temu level, you know, back scratchers that extended like car aerials. God, they broke so quick. Yeah, he was just a very, very lovely man. And I know that the one wouldn't say much else about someone who's passed anyway, but he was gentle. I suppose lovely in that way, you know. I sensed that he'd been through a lot in his life, but that he had found wisdom from it. A little, and pain. I think he'd had a lot of pain. As there is another fellow DJ, it confused me massively. Okay. Imagine having to explain that your most seen artist isn't even an artist you like. Yeah, right? That's devious. My best friend is devious. We're back there, are we? Right. You don't remember me, but I am Witty Weevil from back. Hello, Witty Weevil. My goodness me, there's a handle I haven't read for a while. And how, Witty Weevil, did you become Nyla Smoky Face? Was there a lot of smoking and a lot of face, I suppose? Or are you no longer witty or weevily? How's other devs? Yeah, dealt with. How did you manage to coordinate the interviews in the second segment of day 8 if the interviews are pre-recorded? Yeah, good question. Here's how we did it. We did it the hard way, we did it the expensive way. We got Paul to come in. We recorded the outside the studio bits always first. Okay. So the first thing we would do is get everybody who was being spoken to, and we got Paul or Dre or both, but I don't think we ever needed both actually. So Paul or Dre, and they were called for the day, but they didn't have to get into costume or makeup, and they stood off camera delivering the lines in a whisper like this so that you could just hear them, but the mics wouldn't pick up too much, so we wouldn't have to clean up too much. And they would deliver it exactly like they were hoping to deliver it on the day, right? So they made their own trap there. And then on the day, We played back into the studio. We made sure all the footage was selected and cut and ready beforehand, and we played it back in. It was still done as one continuous take at both ends, right? So we would play a whole take, because obviously you know from playing it, we have to take the whole take because you're choosing when to jump. So they're 2 full takes. So this is the only way to do it. And we would play that take in, and Paul and Andrea, because they're absolutely amazing, would try and sync up with how they did it a month ago on set, which we would be able to play them because we would record their whisper so they could hear it a little bit, although we never did, I don't think, play it to them. I think they just had natural rhythm. Then on one of them, I can't remember which one. Oh, well, it started with lockdown, because obviously when you're in lockdown and you're recording remotely, that doesn't work because as you know, Discord, Zoom, whatever you use, it adds delay. Time isn't reliable. Comic timing doesn't work. So that's when we learnt a trick that got us through lockdown stuff, which we then used from then on to tighten those interviews that we're talking about. And what that is let's say Paul is interviewing me. While I am talking, Paul's clip will be running not at 100%. It'll be at 98, 96, 95, or maybe 102, 103% speed. So that, and then just before Paul's going to speak again, we'll slow it back to its normal speed. So that obviously when he's talking, there's no sense that it's moved. And that enables you to really tighten the gaps. But it takes a lot of time. Andy did it. We used to call it Andy work. Very, very, very difficult. So that's the answer to that question, Alexi. Thank you for remembering to ask that, because I think you asked that in the Discord, because I occasionally jump in the Discord, as you all know, to hand out or take away points. And, I'm sure I said to you, ask me that on the chat. So I hope that's interesting to everybody. Yeah, it was really interesting to do. What do you mean someone here played it? Obstacle, I mean what I say. Jay, consider me a volunteer for your next server as a mod or community manager as required. Both of those things would be lovely, TT. Flux has offered as well. In fact, I think I asked him before he even had the chance to offer. So do talk to Flux. He's the only other person involved at the moment. Paul confirmed. Paul confirmed. Well, unless, he fucking stacks his car with his dreadful driving before we come out and we have to replace it. But assuming Paul lives long enough to do the entire game, Paul confirmed. Have a start. I will buy it when it comes out. Thanks, Lexi. Appreciate that, man. 20 copies, 20 Steam accounts. That's a hell of a thing, TT. In previous stream, you mentioned that Paul will cameo in game. Yeah, now I can confirm that it's more than a cameo. That's because we don't have 250 characters in the next one. I do have a quick question about NFB. Sure, Alexi, ask away. I just arrived. Can anyone fill me in on what I missed? Gloria, you just missed me just prattling fucking on and on and on when there's no one else here to stop me. Oh, my God. I mean, the fact that I assume the rest of you aren't actually here, that you've just like server muted and gone off to make dinner or something. Right. Yeah, that's what you've missed, Gloria. Me, that, what you just saw. Jay's talking about his new game. Yeah, sort of. No, I'm playtesting for a new game. He's talking about his progress. Would you work with Tiny Build again? Maybe. Not sure the others would, though. It was difficult at the end because through no fault of their own, really. Well, maybe through fault of their own, I don't know. There just wasn't the money to make the next game, It was going to be real expensive, and it's a matter of public record that Tiny Build's, shares were going through a really bad bit, and they had to close and let go a lot of studios, right? And that did hurt. It really hurt. It hurt me, it hurt the boys, hurt all of us, but I get why they did it. So I don't really have any sort of lasting resentments, really. They gave us a really fair separation agreement. Can't argue with that at all. They were more than generous. They still pay us regularly the royalties on NFB. They don't quibble it. Secretly, I always really felt I connected well with Alex Nichborchik. I really like him. He runs the company. He's not to everyone's taste, I know that, but I really fucking like the guy. I thought he was solid. I also think Tiny Build are the sort of company who are willing to take a creative risk, and there's a lot to be said for that. So I wouldn't rule it out. I don't know if they would want to work with us again or with me. That's a different matter. But Ivan, who's making the lift, he's still with Tiny Build, and I see him very regularly. He was our producer for the first few years of Not Broadcast, and he's a very valuable friend and advisor in my life. Another one who's played the new game. So, you know, I don't have any sour grapes towards Tiny Build, but I don't have a lot of regular contact with them outside of Jackie and this stream, really, and that relationship seems lovely to me. So, you know, you'd have to speak to the others. I don't speak for them, but I do speak for myself. Good luck with publishers, blah, blah, blah. What engine are you using? We are using Unity because we were too lazy to learn Unreal when Unity went to hell. That's one reason. There are other reasons. Reason number two, we know Unity very, very, very well. George knows how to get into the top systems. You can't really relearn that quickly. Reason number three, I know Unity a little bit. Reason number four, I'm beginning to feel like you can tell when a game is made in Unreal. There isn't as much variety. Like, they're starting to look the same. Don't get me wrong, they look lovely. I wish we had. I wish we could do light like Unreal does light, because light is really important to what I'm doing in this next game. And I've spent the last 8 weeks, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, working purely on lighting systems of one sort or another to make sure it's right. So, but Unity, we can get a certain look out of Unity that I like. And I think it doesn't look like an Unreal game. And I say that, I really don't want to disparage people who use Unreal, because it's a fucking brilliant engine, you know. All good, though. It doesn't really matter what you make your game in. Just find the one of those. But we're using Unity. How could anyone leak stuff? That's horrible. I know, right? People. Fuck that guy, yeah. Would you consider people who previously playtested? I would consider anyone who previously playtested and didn't leak. I'd say you've proven yourselves trustworthy, yes. So at some point I will share a playtest link, probably in this stream only, and that will allow people to sign up for it. Notgames is basically on hiatus. Yeah, other than this stream, really, and taking questions. And, you know, on Tiny Build are still running it. It's still available. It still sells really well, and it sells on work. Well, it doesn't sell really well. Who am I trying to kid? It sells okay. It sells by word of mouth. DLCs slowly but surely. Every month, a few more on PlayStation, a few more on, you know, it's okay. I hope that it'll be like Blade Runner. And, you know, because when Blade Runner came out, it wasn't a big hit. It just never went away. Or Withnail and I did that. Just stuck for some reason. It'd be lovely if it just stuck around up until the time when the hardware it needs is exhausted. When you make games, that's part of it. But it's not as bad as when you make theatre, because when you make theatre, the moment the last curtain drops is done. You know, a film of a play is like a stream of a game. It's all very well, but it's not the same thing, is it? Watching someone play my game is not the same as playing my game. As I hope to persuade more people of that. I hope you can work to a publisher rather than a Kickstarter, because Kickstarter is complicated. Yeah, I agree. TT, I really agree. A Kickstarter game has to come out. Yeah, a publisher can cancel a bad game. Hopefully, by the time I go to the publisher, I'll know for sure that I'm good. Was Alan James's Right book an actual book, or just a really thick John Grisham novel with a cover on it? Excellent question, Alexei. When you ask your questions, I feel like I'm Richard Osman on The Rest is Entertainment. Right, Alan James is right. No, that is not a real book. But interestingly, someone did try and write a few chapters of a real book with AI, from what I remember. Right back when AI was brand new and everyone thought that it could actually do things before it could actually do things. I mean, Notgames is not active and not making games at the moment. There's a lot of people here who Jay knows and asked if they'd playtest. Yes, that's right. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said that. I remember someone shared an EPUB of Alan James's Right. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one, Nyla. That was written. That was written by an AI. We didn't do that, but I did find it amusing, especially as back then, nobody had done that. I was really impressed. I'd not used AI at all at that point. 800 pages of belief juice. I tell you what, it really was. It was like, it's like Joe Rogan took acid and wrote a novel with Alex Jones. It was like unbelievably bad. But, that was AI back then, wasn't it? And it's still, I've got to say, some AIs do have a nice turn of phrase now. But back then they didn't. Okay. Can you say if Not Broadcast was at least not a flop? No, it was not a flop. It washed its face a while back now. Washed its face means it covered its costs, but it didn't make a lot of money for Tiny Build or for us. Not a lot. An investor in a game, ideally, or an investor in a games company, because Tiny Build obviously went from being a private company while we were with them to being a publicly owned company. And once you're a publicly owned company, obviously, if I've bought shares in your company, I'd kind of like it if your company tried to make some money and be successful, right? Otherwise, you're just kind of taking my money and spanking it on a vanity project. And that's an artist's job, not a publisher's job. So the pressure increases on a publisher once they're public to make more. And the return that investors are often looking for is 10x, which means 10 times back what they got. And so far, Not for Broadcast has not returned 10x to anybody. I would imagine we'd be lucky if we were even at 2x, yeah. And that's one of the reasons why Tiny Build may have, slightly worried about making another expensive FMV game. It's a lot of money to spend. It's a long process. Only has to do slightly worse than Not for Broadcast, and we could be in a lot of trouble. So, that's what I mean about I understand why they did what they did. But it didn't make a loss. No, absolutely didn't make a loss. And it was definitely not a flop. Also, it was very artistically successful. And that in its own right is very important because it increased the credibility of Tiny Build's name, which in turn increases market confidence in their games and has a direct impact on their stock price. So although it's indirect, that is financially massively advantageous to have a game that's like BAFTA nominated, keeps winning awards, has some credibility, that there is a value to that as well. That's a very important value. That's probably the reason why they continued to fund it. Well, that and the fact that I think Alex Nitch-Porchik really wanted to know what happened at the end of the story and he liked it. He liked the game. And he's a good guy. So lots of reasons. I hope that's helpful. Right. It's a criminally underrated game. Oh, thank you, Nina. That's kind. Right. What was Jenny's stopwatch for other than to time when the actors had to speak? Could they see the elapsed time? And were the headlines dubbed in or acted? Only we didn't see the acting. They were all recorded with them sitting there at the desk. Every single headline. But you got shown the images, but they were actually filmed and recorded. But I think we show them saying them for some of it. That's out there. I'll tell you what Jenny's stopwatch was for. It was so that when she counted a 5, it was a real 5. Because obviously, if you're shooting different cameras in different locations on different days, you need a tight 5. Everybody has to work. Time becomes incredibly important at that point. And obviously in the game, the player has the timer going 5, 4, 3. If Jenny counts and she doesn't have a stopwatch, you're going to know she's out. And your clock in the broadcast room, when Jenny goes back in 10, isn't going to say 10. Yeah. So everything has to be right to sell the illusion. It's one of the many things that make FMV games really very, very difficult to make, but very challenging in a good way. Artistically challenging, not rubbish challenge, good challenge, life challenge, good. That's Jenny. Stopwatch reminds me of Hello Neighbour's Kickstarter situation. Yeah, I've heard about that. I'd imagine FMV games are already difficult to make. They are. And what I'm trying to do next is not easy either. Was the flop? DLCs. I think you could say the DLCs were a flop. I hate that they were, because bits of your life. I'm so proud of that. So proud of the writing, and so proud of the way it came together and how it was, and the completeness of it. I think that's the closest I got to how FMV maybe should work in terms of game design as well. Yeah, but definitely they only sold to. Had people told me in advance, right, that most DLC only sells to 10% of players, had I known that, I would have not bothered doing it as DLC. I would have either wrapped it into the main game or released them as NFB2, you know, as a big pack of side content. I don't know. It was just like, because we were going, nobody's buying these. And they were like, no, they're doing very well. But no, very well is the people who've played the game play the DLCs. But you would also be surprised how many of the people who bought the game actually finish the game. How many of the people who bought the game even play the game. It is surprising. It is surprising. And that applies to all games, not just us. Either that or someone's been blowing smoke up my ass. Oh my God, I'm running late. Right, I'm going to fly through these. Here's 5:42. Stop typing shit, because I'm not going to get to it. So there's no point, right? Because I obtained an Orthodox way, I played all 3 DLCs that way. So maybe people have played the DLCs as pirate. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. I mean, that's gutting in one way, because obviously I'd really like to get paid for all the work. But in another way, I think I'd rather at least people played them. I'd like them to know the story. I think I'd rather you. I mean, if you really enjoyed them, Alexi, buy them as well. I know that you've got them for free, but you know, maybe buy them if you think they're good. Boyle and Time Loop are the only DLCs I have Steam Playtime on. Interesting, you did buy them. Well, good for you. Lovely person. That's really nice. Yeah, I'd like to believe that too. I remember that Alex Patterson AL post somewhere in the server. Yeah, I can't know Alex James's, but yeah, somewhere in the server years back. Andy will always say he still remembers when he had to speed up the sections in the Wild Sophia interview. Yeah, not an easy one, that. I remember Pete Clement on the bike, on the exercise bike, the 2 versions of that. Oh, because they were quite slow. It was a hot day. And also jumping around the world. That one. Oh, we did some shit to that. Can't remember exactly what we did, but oh my God, did we do some shit to that. Disco Elysium. Yeah, fantastic game. Really, really, really good. Well played, everybody. Hello Neighbour poster in day 153. A sponsored ad placement or an Easter egg. No, that was just us. We just chose to do that and put one up because we really thought that was funny that he would have that on there. And we were really, you know, we were big fans of Tiny Build. We still are, you know. So, you know, Tiny Build's in that nasty spot where they gave you creative control and take risks, but that comes with high risks. Yeah, and they're no longer big enough to take those kind of risks. Yeah, exactly that. I didn't meet a nasty person at Tiny Build the whole time. And from the horror stories I have heard about other publishers, I think our experience, although brutal, was not brutal because of the publisher. It was brutal because market economics is brutal. And that brutality can be very, very character forming and very good for you in the long run. Right? And that's one of the contradictions of life. You wouldn't buy a game if all your character did all day was not get challenged in any way, never fail, never do anything wrong. It would just like literally walk down a road, and as you walk down, people give you money. That's a shit game, right? So if you believe that we incarnate, or that, you know, that life is designed to be a set of challenges, maybe it's quite good to be challenged. It's quite good sometimes to be knocked on your ass, provided you get up and laugh about it. Obviously, if it knocks you for good, that's not great. Right, let me clear a question about one thing. Wondering about Julian Peters' attitude towards Channel 1. Did Julian Peter want to take the Channel 1 on state ownership from the beginning? Yeah, not from the beginning, but quite soon. Could they have somehow sabotaged the work of Channel 1? How do they feel about it? And did this affect Bozeman in particular? They could have sabotaged the work. They did turn the news into current affairs. That's on the record. Bozeman would have fucking hated it. He believed in the news. I remember saying to him, right, I'm being really quick because it's 5:45 and I should have left 15 minutes ago. I'm not going to have dinner at this rate. I have my issues with Tiny Bill, but I will always admire picking up NFB. Yeah, exactly. You know, and I think it's hard to find a publisher that's not going to break a few eggs, especially if they're going to take a few risks. So, you know, I'm not going to slag off Tiny Bill. So, but you guys can do it all you want, obviously, if you want to. It's not for me to tell you what to believe. All the Red Pill Sigmas are coming to this server now. On the one hand, there's no chaos in the server, and on the other, it'd be nice to get more people. Yeah, the server used to be much more thriving, but it's a very nice place to be. And hopefully, when a new game comes out, you know, we'll bring some people onto maybe another server. It's very hard when the game isn't really coming out. Hellborn made me cry once. A feat that no. Oh, Alexi! To the Moon made me cry. It's the only game that's ever done that. That I can remember doing it. It was certainly the first game. I've overshot my agreed time. Yes, of course I have, DJ. Honest, I haven't finished it myself. Oh, I do finish it, whatever it is. Right, Nyla, I do agree. It probably would have been better to release them as one big pack. Yeah, maybe. Theoretically, is a DLC with Peter Clement at the helm possible, or anything new in the game at all? What about VR? I played it. Oh no, my God, it's unfinished. Yeah, man. Yeah, man, it's unfinished. We didn't do that. Oculus, Meta told us you can go on Oculus, but you have to use this particular porting team. I believe it was something like that. We weren't involved in the deal. Tiny Build did the deal. We weren't overly happy, neither were they, with the result. We'd always wanted it in VR. Yeah, you live, you learn. I wish it were better. Really. There won't be any more Peter Clement content. There won't be any more content. I think it's ready. Very advanced. This game has such perfect soundtracks. Oh, thank you, dude. I wrote that shit. That's really nice of you, fellow musician. Yeah, good for you, man. I've listened to it until I'm sick of it and I'm still amazing. Yeah, oh yeah, bless you. And the only time I listened to was the I'll drink to that jingle. Amazing. I love it. Jay, very enjoyed that. I forgot about rehearsal. Yeah, I forgot about rehearsal. I've got to go to rehearsal. I need to get the piano sheet music for the territorial anthem. There is no sheet music unless someone else has done some. It's a really, really difficult chord sequence as well. I have it in a notebook somewhere. Oh my God, I think I showed the notes on this stream. Oh my God, so long ago. I don't even know where the notebook is. I will try and work it out. If you remind me next stream, if it's just me, I will grab that guitar. I will sit here with it and I will work it out and call you the chords on the stream. Next stream. So there you go. If that's something that would be helpful and that you would like. I need to get, but I haven't got piano sheet music. Sorry, there is none. After a few stuff gone after VR port, no sun scribble. Yeah, I know, man. Anthem is so beautiful. Believe in equality. Jake, next question: when is the next stream? Well, DJ, it's like you're queuing me up. Good man. You'll be a very good TV producer one day, I think, DJ, or like radio producer, one of those people. This is well, according to my diary, the next stream will be Monday, the 3rd of August. Don't you know? So Monday, the 3rd of August, I will not be in as much of a rush. I will try and stay long enough. And if you want to do music next stream, then remind me and I will grab the guitar. And if any of you are very advanced, any of you have things you want to talk about the music in the game or just about music in general, or maybe if some of you are musicians, maybe you want to share some of your music and maybe I can work out how we can all listen to it or something like that. We'll have a music hour, unless one of the other directors is actually free, in which case we'll make the most of it and we'll let you question them until the next time I get you on my own, which, let's face it, won't be that long. Well,